Hello there, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. It's your favorite Ohio and Buckeye politics, discussing the 2022 governor's prediction. This will be my August governor's prediction. It's been a while since we last did one of these. I believe it was July 11th or 13th that I did a governor's prediction, and a lot has changed. Um, so yeah, let's get into filling in the states. There's gonna be no twists on this. A lot of my videos recently have been like, kind of more like alternate history scenarios. But no, this video will be my official governor's prediction as of today, which is August the 24th. So we're gonna film the safe blue states, and they include the state of California. Now, this is not including the recall election. My personal take on the recall, I think it's going to be no by about 1.5 to 2. If you look at the polling there, it's certainly not bad for the Republicans. It's much closer than the Democrats will admit, and the media will tell you. But still, it is California, and I don't think it's going to be enough to get Newsom recalled. Could it be a lot closer in 2022? Yes. But even if Newsom does get recalled, chances are whatever Republican gets, if Newsom gets recalled, and if a Republican gets instated, chances are that they're going to lose in 2022. I believe that is how it works. If it's not, correct me in the comments. I've done like no research on the California recall, so I do apologize if that is not how it works. But I do think the states of Hawaii, Illinois, probably Oregon could be close, but I still think it'll be just barely above 10. Nothing. Maryland, New Jersey, Rhode Island, New York could be interesting if Cuomo was still in office. I'd probably put New York as likely, but likely to lean. But he resigned, and I think the lieutenant governor is gonna do much better than people expect, and is still gonna do well in like elections, even with the Cuomo scandal. So I do think that it'll be safe as well. And that is it, I believe, for the safe blue states. Yes. Now for the safe red states, we have the states of Idaho, Wyoming. I do hope that Ammon Bundy wins in Idaho. That'd be very based if he wins in Idaho. Like, that'd be incredible. South Dakota, Kristi Noem, not the greatest candidate, but I do think that she will win by a safe margin. I don't really have that much beef with Kristi Noem. I think she's a decent candidate. I don't get why she gets the hate she does, but I do understand it. But that's besides the point. She'll win. Oklahoma, Arkansas, that'd be pretty based if we could get Sarah Huckabee in Arkansas and replace the awful governor of Arkansas. So if Sarah Huckabee wins, hopefully we get a primary, and hopefully we get Sarah Huckabee as the next governor of Arkansas instead of the horrible guy they have now. Alabama, hopefully in Alabama, KIV. A lot of people don't like her. I don't have much against her, so and I think she'll win by a safe margin. No, I don't see a point in a primary. South Carolina and Alaska obviously will stay red, as will Vermont and Massachusetts with Phil Scott and Charlie Baker. So with that, we have 19 safe Republican seats and 13 safe Democrat seats, which means that there's going to be a decent amount up for grabs. We're going to go fill in from East Coast to West Coast, starting now. The state of Maine, I believe, will lean to the Democrats. The former Republican governor is mounting a campaign to win in Maine, and while I do think that he has a shot, I don't think it'll be enough. I think it'll be maybe to Janet Mills will win re-election by about 2-3 points. Looking at the state of New Hampshire, I'm going to put New Hampshire as a tilt red state. A lot of people are saying Chris Sununu will run for the Senate. I hope he runs for the Senate. But even then, as he is not confirmed yet, I'm still going to kind of put it in the toss-up kind of category. So I'm going to put New Hampshire as tilt, because if Chris Sununu runs for governor, he's going to win handily. And if he doesn't run, Republicans made big gains in the state, even though Biden won New Hampshire by 6 points, and pretty much all aspects of New Hampshire, Republicans made big gains. And depending on the campaign, I could easily see New Hampshire, even if Sununu isn't on the ballot, go red by a few points. Looking at the state of Connecticut, Ned Lamont, I believe he's the governor there. He had a very close race in 2018. It was very close. But I do think that's going to change. I don't think he's going to lose to Bob Stefanski. I don't think that he I think if he runs again, it could be closer, but I don't think that the Republicans will flip Connecticut even a good year. So I'm going to keep Connecticut in the lean column. I think it's going to be a lot closer than the media will tell you, but I do think that it'll be similar to 2018 margins. The state of Pennsylvania. This is a very interesting state. A lot of the Pennsylvania is a state. Their governor Tom Wolf, he's gotten a lot of criticism for his handling of COVID. As a matter of fact, his emergency powers were heavily restricted, and they were actually the whole reason that bill passed to restrict his powers was really because a lot of Philadelphia and Pittsburgh and more Democratic-based candidates, more Democratic areas turned out against Tom Wolf. And so, with that in mind, I do think that Pennsylvania will tilt red if if they keep if I think that doing the whole COVID thing may actually hurt the Democrats in the long run, as a lot of people really don't like the lockdown. Sure, it'll get the suburban white people to turn out by a few points, but really, as we saw in Pennsylvania specifically, even places in Philadelphia, like places that went to Biden by 80, 90 points, voted to limit Tom Wolf's powers by like 30, 40 points. So I do think that Pennsylvania will tilt red. Looking at the state of Virginia, I really, really like Glenn Youngkin. Believe me, I really do. And I think he has a really good shot. I'd say it's pretty much a 50-50 right now, but I don't think he's going to be able to pull it off. I'd say it's probably 51-49 with going Democrat. I think Glenn Youngkin has a really nice chance, and I think he's done an incredible job with his campaign. But I think Virginia is just too far gone, honestly. It's sad, but that's where we're at. Looking at the state of Ohio, my incredible home state, I'm putting that in the likely red column. If DeWine gets primaried, I think either Joe Blystone or Jim Renacci will win by about 8, 9 points, maybe even 10, but I'm saying about 9. And if DeWine wins the primary, I think he'll win by about 7, 8 points, just because a lot of white suburbanites and moderate Democrats will probably vote for DeWine over whoever the Democrats pick. Look at the state of Georgia. Georgia is going to be tilt blue. I'm sorry, but we're not saving Georgia. At the Senate race, we could save. The Senate race, we could win in Georgia, but governorship is gone. Brian Kemp has no support on the left or the right. Vernon Jones gets in office, it could be wins the primary. That could make it interesting, but I feel like right now it's most likely going to be Brian Kemp, and I feel like Brian Kemp, I know Brian Kemp's going to lose because he's not going to get any turnout in the rural areas, and he's certainly not going to get to any turnout in Atlanta, especially if it's Stacey Abrams on the other end. However, I am putting it in I'm going to put it in the lean column, actually, because I just think Brian Kemp is done for in Georgia. State of Florida, I think Ron DeSantis will win in Florida by a likely margin. His poll numbers have gone down a few points the past few weeks, I should say, because of COVID, but I don't think it's going to be enough to heavily impact the race. Truth be told, he's just been such an incredible governor, even without COVID, and even before COVID, he had a very high approval rating. So I do think he'll win by a likely margin. Maybe not by the 10 to 15 points that people were saying he would win by a month ago, but still I think he'll win by about 6, 7. State of Michigan. This is going to be a shocker, but in the state of Michigan, I do think that the former Detroit, Michigan, the former Detroit head of the Detroit the police force. I'm drawing a blank on his name. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm drawing a blank on his James Craig, the former commissioner of the Detroit police force. I don't know why I couldn't remember his name. It's been a long day, but James Craig in Michigan, he will win in Michigan by a tilt margin. Gretchen Whitmer may get some support from some suburban areas, but I think that her COVID handling and the fact that James Craig is just such a respected person across the state, he will win narrowly. State of Wisconsin, I'm putting it in the lean red column. No matter what happens in 2024, unless the Republicans completely bomb, they should win Wisconsin. Same goes for the Senate race in 2022 and the governorship. State of Minnesota, I'm putting that in the lean blue column. Not much to say about Minnesota. I really was hoping, I really hope that we can flip Minnesota, but the trends in Minneapolis and its suburbs are just hard to overcome. So that's why Minnesota goes into the lean blue. Looking at the state of Iowa, I'm putting that on the likely margin. Kim Reynolds, she's done a pretty decent job, and I think she will certainly win a re-election. I'm just not completely sure on the margin, so that's why I'm putting it in likely. Could it be safe? Yes. Could it be a few points closer if the Democrats have a good nominee? Yes, but the fact that it is a red wave year, I'm putting in Iowa probably Reynolds plus 8, plus 9. Looking at the state of Kansas, I think Laura Kelly will lose in Kansas by about maybe at 2, 3 points. She's done a pretty good job overall in terms of keeping her approval rating high, especially in such a red state like Kansas. but I don't think it's going to be enough, especially in a red wave year and with how polarized we've gotten. I do think Kansas will be lean red. Looking at the state of Texas, I hope I trolled you guys by clicking Democrat. I didn't even mean to. But looking at the state of Texas, I think Greg Abbott, no matter who the Republican is, Texas will go red by a likely margin. I prefer Greg Abbott. He's done a decent job. I prefer if it was more of a Trumpian populist, but if we have to settle for Greg Abbott to keep Texas in the keep Texas red by 9-10 points, then we'll have to settle for Greg Abbott. Matthew McConaughey could make it interesting, but I think most of that's just speculation by the media. Looking at the state of Colorado, I'm putting it in the likely margin. And I haven't done too much research on Colorado, but its heavy trends in 2020 tell me that it's probably not going to come back anytime soon. So, and while I do think Republicans will overperform Trump in 2022 and 2024, depending on the nominee, I still think it's going to be blue by about 6 points. New Mexico, I'm putting as lean. I believe the governor there has quite a few scandals, and so that's why I'm putting it as lean, and especially with Hispanic trends in the South in general and parts of New Mexico. And Biden's oil. I think people don't talk about how big of a factor oil is in New Mexico as much as they should. A lot of New Mexico is just as reliant as reliant on oil as Texas and the Deep South, if not even more, because it's just so deserted out there. So I do think New Mexico could actually make a comeback if Democrats keep going down their anti-fracking, anti-oil sort of agenda. State of Arizona, I think it's actually gonna be lean to Kimberly Yee. I hope Kimberly Yee is the nominee, and I think if she is, she will win by a lean margin. I think she's just an overall good candidate. She's she's a Trumpian. She's Trumpian, but she's not like over the top. Her approval rating has been pretty high, and she's done a pretty decent campaign so far, from what I can tell. So I am putting Arizona in the lean red column. I'm looking at the state of Nevada. John Lee, the mayor of North Las Vegas, switched parties and running as a Republican. I'm telling you right now, keep your eyes on Nevada's governor race. John Lee will win the governorship if he wins the primary. I'm very confident of this. I will be shocked if he loses, because he is the perfect candidate for Nevada. He has a lot of Latino and Hispanic support and suburban support. He's pretty Trumpian, from what I can tell, to be honest. He was a complete blue dog when he was mayor, and he's run a really good campaign so far, from what I've read. So please keep an eye on Nevada. Don't be like LTE or some of the election mafia and put Nevada as likely D. That's BS. If John Lee keeps running the campaign the way he's running it, and he does get the nomination, I do think he will win in Nevada. So with that, this is my 2022 governor's prediction. A few things have changed. I think I may have changed my margins in a couple of states, but besides that, it's pretty standard. Some of this may be changed by Biden's approval rating right now and the Democrats' approval rating. I am expecting a red wave year. But yeah, with that, we have the Republican Party with 30 seats at the governorship and the Democratic Party with 20 seats at the governorship level. So with that, thank you for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe.